Good morning. So time is already 10 o'clock. Hopefully you can hear me well and you can see me. Just put in the chat box. So welcome to another webinar organized by the project MyStory along the Northern Lights route. My name is Natalia Pulaka and I'm a project manager from Lapland University of Applied Sciences in Tornio campus. My MyStory project focuses on supporting small-scale tourism companies along the Northern Lights route to become more visible using digital storytelling as a marketing tool. We are organizing a series of open webinars, which aim is to provide competence and knowledge related to digital storing and business development. So today's webinar. Today's webinar, Empathizing Customer, Creating Value with Human and Tech on a Customer Journey, is already our sixth webinar. Please let me know if you can hear me. Somebody in the chat box, maybe. Then I will continue. Okay, yeah, great. Thank you. Yes, thank you. So, couple of things before we start. I would like to tell you, as usually, the webinar is automatically recorded, and the recording will be sent to your email right after the webinar ends. And the second issue, if you are on a tablet or mobile device, you will probably experience 50 seconds delay. So be aware, and of course, we will take it also into account. Good morning, Anna-Maja. And my colleague, Päivi Hannivaara from Multidimensional Tourism Institute of Lapland University of Applied Sciences will present you now our guest speakers and will be following the chat box during the webinar. So welcome again, and Päivi, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Natalia. Hope you can hear me as well.
Yes, I can.
Thank you. So I warmly welcome you all to this webinar as well. You know, today we have an amazing content coming on the stage, which really concentrates on the empathizing customer. So it's customer-centric, and we will discuss about how we will create value for customer with a combination of human and tech. Well, the session will be started by Doctor of Arts and Design, Essi Kuure. Essi will be telling a story of service design and what service design is about. So when you are listening and hopefully chatting as well, I hope that you will think that how service design could be part of your tourism business and how could it bring customers closer to you. Because I think that the customers are kind of co-creators, collaborators with you. So co-creation and cooperation is really relevant. So they are part of your resource as well. After Essi's speech, we will have Antti Lähtevänoja. He will be discussing about how we create an interesting value with virtual experience that your customer will definitely remember. So as we know that the experience is always individual, it's subjective. So it's interesting to listen to Antti and his cases. What are the elements that affect to the customer's experience powerfully? And we have agreed with Essi and Antti that it's okay that you chat questions in between their presentations. Please, you can use chat box, or if you have something to ask directly, open your microphone after the presentation. I will be asking you to do this activity when presentation is over, but please do chatting if you wish to do it in between or during the presentation. And then one more information before we start. This content is so relevant in tourism at the moment that it is used for research purposes as well. So whatever you are chatting there or asking or we are discussing, the data is collected and used anonymously, which means that the persons or personal information cannot be identified. And this research is related to my research, which is supervised by a dean and a professor, Satu Miettinen, in University of Lapland, Faculty of Art and Design. And another thesis which is coming is from our colleague, Elisaveta Alexandrova, and she's doing her thesis in Bachelor of Tourism and Hospitality degree, and the senior lecturer Teija Tekoniemi-Selkälä and Outi Kähkönen are the ones to supervise her. So I think we are ready. So Natalia, will you warm up with the poll?
Yes, sure. So we have one question. I will publish it now. So hopefully you can see it. Please let me know. So our question is, have you been attending any of our previous webinars? So we could then see how many new people we have here, and because as I mentioned before, it's already 6th webinar. Let me know if you can see the poll.
Yes, I can see the poll. It's another leaflet beside chat box. Do you mean that, Natalia?
No. I mean our audience. It should come in the middle of your screen.
Okay. I can see that there are already polls given. I think, yes, they are coming still, so we need to wait for, because of the mobiles and tablets, it's coming a little bit later.
Yes, we cannot see in the middle, but in the poll tab. Okay,
yes.
Yeah, that's good. Maybe I will do like this now, that it would not take your your attention. So yeah.
It's beside your chat. I mean, when you see your chat box, and beside it on the right is the polls. Yeah. So thank you, Petra, for guiding. It's a leaflet for polls, and then you might even see the people who are attending, or can you?
Yeah.
That's the third leaflet. Yeah.
So most of you have been already attending. Yeah, this is very nice. But still we have new audience here. So this project is probably new for you. But okay, I believe we will not receive any more responses. So maybe we could now jump to the Essi's presentation. What do you think, Päivi?
I totally agree, Natalia. So now we are welcoming you, Essi Kuure. The stage is yours.
Thanks. Let me just upload my presentation here. Okay. You should see it now, hopefully.
Yes, we can see.
Yeah. Perfect. So, hi everyone. I was also checking the people who are here, and there's some people I know very well. Really nice to see you. At least your names, if we would be in a seminar hall like we used to be a year or year and a half ago, I would see your faces. But now it's nice, like you remember the people how they were in 1.5 years ago. So faces keep the same. But yeah, welcome from my part of as well to this great webinar today. And my topic is the story of service design. So a lot of service design words are coming up. I'm a Doctor of Arts, as Päivi said, and I do research, lecture, live, breathe, sometimes even eat service design, write about it, and it has been my passion over 10 years. So hopefully I can open up what it is about and how you could make use of it, or what it could maybe mean for you in your business or in your whatever development cases, changes you are making. So yeah, greetings from Rovaniemi. I'm living and working here. First of all, good morning, of course. And I would like you to present yourself as a car. So you don't have to open your mics or anything, and you can think about it for a while. But usually we tend to present ourselves throughout our titles or through our work. In service design, we try to, in many ways, look things from a different angle. So I'm challenging you to present yourself as a car today. You can use the chat box. You can think about it for a little while, but it would be really nice to see what kind of cars do I have in the audience today. So you can pick a color or model, a way the car moves, whatever. You can think about these cars, or it can be something totally different. It would be nice to hear what kind of turbos or old cars we have today in the audience. So that's a little task for you while you are listening. And maybe you can then also identify me as a car while I'm presenting. Think about what kind of car I would be. So a little bit more about me then. Yeah. As I said, I lecture, research, and practice service design here at the University of Lapland. And my biggest interest is on co-creation and creating new knowledge as well as methods for this collaborative practice, so for this collaborative development. I just graduated as a Doctor of Arts in the end of last year. Great cars coming. Thanks. And my topic was service design workshops. So I was lucky to collect my data and do the actual design work and the empirical work during the time before COVID-19. So I have been collecting my data, actually being with people in the same place and in the same rooms. I could say all over the world, but it's mainly like in this vertical line, Finland, Russia, and then Namibia and South Africa in the southern end of the line. So I have been working with different people, different communities around designing new solutions, and especially in workshops. So that's my passion: people and their experiences, and how can we use that as a fuel for developing new solutions. What's the most important for me is that service design means more functional, fair, and fun everyday life. So service design is not a solution as such. It's not something that we develop and then we have service design and we try to sell it. But service design, I would like you to think about it as a way for developing. So sometimes we think that design is the outcome, that when we are, let's say, developing something, then if it's a chair or shoes or a car, that's the end result is the design. but actually the design is the journey towards that end result. And from that perspective, already during that journey, during that story that we create together while we are developing, we should and we can increase the functional values, the fairness, the respect that services have, as well as the fun. So this work can be fun, and it's okay to have fun while you are developing. And what is at the heart of design is, of course, a human. And maybe this a little bit more about me, how I see these contexts, these development opportunities from a designer point of view, is that when we have been developing, we have been discussing many decades about people as a user. So we do user testing, we ask from users, we can participate them in our development, ask from them, collect user data, and so on. From that kind of a new addition has been made, and we have been discussing about stakeholders. So as the world gets more complex, as the services become more complex and connected, world is connected, we have been looking at different stakeholders and how they act in a service in a service environment. Let's say this could be like a traveler, a business provider, a host of a guest house, and so on. Probably a municipality, something like that. Also in traveling and tourism services. And from that, still one perspective towards looking at developing, changing, making new things and new solutions is to look at people as a community. So not look at them as a separate persons or separate entities and trying to bring them together, but understanding that they are already together. They are standing in hand to hand, and they are in a service, in a touristic service, they are already there. They are sharing the spaces, they are affecting their emotions, their experiences, and this community and this kind of overall view of the group who is there and what they are doing and in which ways they are doing can be used as a great development tool. So it's not just that the people are using our services, it's that we are collaborating with them during the services, and we can get this understanding of their emotions, experiences, of their thoughts that we can then use in the development. In touristic services, we usually have those seasons when it's really, it's really busy. And then we have times when it could be more kind of relaxed holiday time for the professionals as well. So I would like you to think about this, like how it could be possible to collect that data and collect that understanding during the busy times, but then during the not so busy times, how to use that knowledge that you have and ideas you have been hearing and the discussions that you have been hearing from the people, from the community, then in the development while the days are not 16 or 18 hours every day. Good. So, and one more thing I forgot to say, I hope you're not reading everything that I have on slides. Sorry, it's this university thing that I put a lot of text to the slides, but that's also because you will get the slides afterwards. And I'm hoping that, it's easier then also to use the slides afterwards and remember what was said and maybe what was the most important thing for you, what was something that woke you up this morning. So yeah, let's go to the actual words. So service and design. So I like to, in Finnish language, they are together. It's a long word, palvelumuotoilu. In English, they are already separately. But I like to somehow separate them even more for a while. So if we first look at the service side, services are about experiences. And if we look at some definitions, how we could define service. So they are valuable action performed to satisfy a need or to fulfill a demand. And service is always consumed and produced at the same time. So you can plan it, you can design it, but then when it comes to the moment of truth and service is up and running, then you actually know what is happening. And this thing makes them interaction-based. So it's from humans to humans. Services are also process-based, so time is important, as well as the experience, so human. And services are part of our everyday life. Usually, we are using multiple services at the same time. Probably you are listening to this, maybe you're looking at your email at the same time, or there's services running in your house while you are listening. So services are all around us, and the experience makes it super interesting for us, because we can use that experience and try to understand those experiences that people get of our services as a fuel for development. And then we come to the design. So this development idea connects the words. Design, if I would look some similar words, would be development, change, and planning. So if you are developing, changing, or planning, design can be useful. Design is always connected to change. It is always about developing something. It's not the outcome. It's not the stamp that designed by this or who or whatever, but it's the journey towards the solutions. Seymour has said that design is making things better for people. I like that. It's simple. And design could be design could be viewed as an activity that translates an idea, something immaterial, something that it's hard to tell to other people, something that is there but not yet, into something useful, into something concrete, into something that we can live, breathe, test, and so on. Design is also everywhere. Maybe that's why we are talking so much, at least in Finland now, about service design, because services are everywhere and design is also everywhere. And sometimes that makes it really hard to understand also, okay, service and design everywhere and everything. So what it is then? And that's the tricky part, because this all has to always be adapted and looked at in the context. So there's huge amount of knowledge, a lot of different process models, methods, and so on. But then maybe for tourism, only part of them are really useful. So it's this way of trying to find what are the things, and I'm trying to bring them today to you, so that it wouldn't be so much about trying to dig this huge pile of knowledge and try to find why service design and tourism would be how they could be useful for each other. Yeah. And not only designers design, every people designs in their everyday life. So probably you have had these moments when something is not working or you need to be creative and you are doing design when you are solving that problem. Usually with service design, those problems are just much bigger. It's not about a broken vase or something like that. It's about these networks and these ecosystems of things. So traveling, for example, is a huge ecosystem, and it starts from your home and it gets back to your home. But there's like huge amount of different touch points and service providers and whatnot during the travel. Even it would be 1 day travel to Oulu and back. You might hire a car or take the train. You go to a restaurant. You are doing something in the city and maybe buying something and so on. And all of these come together in the human, in the whoever is traveling. And the only one who knows the whole journey is the one who is traveling. The companies, they don't know the whole journey. And that's why it's important to be interested about the person who has that knowledge, that how these things are connected and what kind of experiences are built along their journeys. So when we combine service and design, we have a practice of creating human-centered solutions to meet the challenges and possibilities of the future. So this would be my short definition of service design. And again, why service design is now hot, and I'm not telling all of these to you, but just to remind you, if you are looking at these slides or listening to this speech later on. But especially in tourism, this growth of experience economy has been a huge factor. And kind of users and people, they are not as such interested about services or so, but services are a possibility to get these experiences, and people are interested about experiences and they are using money to get those. So services are a way of providing these different experiences to people. And yeah, impact of technology has been huge, and Antti is going to talk you more about that. But what is important in design is that we are moving in especially in services from thinking that we are doing something for the user, something for the people. So from this traditional mindset that I'm a service provider and you are the service user, so that we are making something for you, we are moving to these different ways of working where we are actually working with user. And this connects really well with service ideology. You remember, these are interaction based. So actually it has always been that we are with user doing, but now the focus is also more that what kind of roles we build, what we can do. Is it always that we serve something, or are we building the services and doing the services together? Sometimes the business can be even providing opportunities for users themselves to do what they want. So by users, the services are provided by the users for the users, but the company is just kind of there, maybe a little bit in the background, providing these opportunities for users themselves to create services that they want, experiences that they want. So there's this flexibility always. A little bit more about service design and tourism. So overall, service design could be used as a framework to achieve an empathic understanding of the traveler's experience. So we could see the overall picture and understand from where he or she is coming from, what he or she is doing, and where he or she is going to. And then connect these dots. And there's a lot of need for this kind of thinking in many ways. Services are sometimes really, really confusing, especially when we are abroad. So understanding the overall service experience for company is important, and the better you will be, more you understand this, the better you will be. And traveling and tourism is super interesting because the experience is a little bit distinct from other types of experiences. Usually we are on holiday, relaxing, we want something different, something out of our everyday life. And that, makes them distinct from, let's say, everyday services that we use all the time, like going to a supermarket. But going to a supermarket in a different country might be a real experience. So it's super interesting how we enable people to get these new experiences while they are visiting us. Yes. And just 5 points how service design could be useful for tourism. So through service design, it's possible to get hands-on insights from the front line. So from the, let's say, customer service to the back office, whoever is there providing the, let's say, technical solutions or logistics solutions. So we can get hands-on insights. What is happening, and especially why it is happening. Usually we know that, let's say, 60% of our customers says the service is great. Perfect, it's numbers. But what then? Like, what do we do? 60% is happy. Good to know. So with service design, it's about this hands-on insights, especially why people are saying what they are saying, why they are doing what they are doing. We can do contextual interviews with customers. In tourism, usually it's about this human interaction. So all the time, there's possibility to understand, to listen, to see, to think about how things could be differently or how things could be developed. You probably, whoever has worked in tourism industry, knows funny questions that people ask while they are visiting. And all this is super interesting knowledge that can be used in development. With service design, we can also empower staff to develop new ideas and solutions. Also in the, let's say, in the meantime, if the season is ending and we have a little bit more time, we can do constant evaluation and rethinking of existing processes from a customer perspective. This is so interesting, and it will be interesting to see where tourism services are going after this pandemic. And then also adapting best practices and solutions from outside the industry. So with service design, we can kind of look at the whole service industry and learn and adapt and think about how different solutions developed outside of tourism could be used inside the industry. Just a little recap. So by service design, you can improve existing service. You can develop totally new services which are not yet existing. And you can also develop strategic level activities. So for example, the management or the use of design inside the organization or inside your company. So This probably also makes it sometimes a bit unclear what service design is about, because it can be used in these different levels. So it's good to think about in which level I'm using the service design, because also the methods and ways of working can vary a little bit. For example, developing totally new services, we should look always for startups, and especially design-oriented startups. So they have been using design methods for developing businesses for a long time. So there's, for example, from that field, there's a lot to learn. Okay, so one definition more, and then I'm going through these 3 different things next. So in This is Service Design Thinking book, it's an old book, I think maybe already 10 years, something like that. Anyways, I think this is still true. So the strength of service design is that it is not well defined, although I tried to define it for you, and is therefore not a limited area of expertise, but rather these 3 things: a mindset, a process, and a range of tools. And these are based on several areas of expertise, from design to engineering and management to the social sciences. All areas of expertise, and I would add, who are developing something or who are changing something, can use this shared mindset as a common language in services. So I think this hopefully kind of tells you that service design might be already familiar to you, at least a little bit, because it loans from different fields and different development processes and practices. So I think some door of service design is already a little bit open for you, looking from the different areas of industries and fields, research fields that you are coming from. So let's go through these 3 different perspectives or areas of service design. First of all, service design is a way of thinking about developing. So how to think and do like a designer, if you would like to be one. Service design is sometimes easiest to grasp when contrasted with product design, because product design is, it's much more easier to understand. So product designers create tangible things, let's say tennis shoes, teapots, tablet computers, something like this. And I think from that world, we kind of got that idea that the design is an outcome. But when service designer creates something, they create intangible experiences. And these experiences are formed through services. So for service designers, then it's much more important to work together, to collaborate, to bring different kind of knowledges and experiences to the same table. And this sounds really easy and sounds that, yeah, we have been collaborating for a long time. But usually when we start developing, we kind of come across to different hurdles. And they can be different ways of, competing against each other, or just not access to different kind of data or something like that. It's it can really be a game changer, just bringing people together to discuss with each other. We are a low hierarchy society, so it's pretty easy to discuss with different people in Finland. But when I have been working, for example, with public services, it has been a game-changing idea to bring the youth and the actual decision makers to discuss the same tables. So sometimes it can be small things, and it's important that you look at your own field and try to maybe understand what are the assumptions in your field, in your own business, and then question those. Could they be a different thing? But yeah, service designers create intangible experiences, and these experiences can be, for example, the experience of booking a flight, the experiences of paying a bill. We probably have a lot of experiences of paying a bill. Sometimes it's really hard even. Experience of getting a driver's license, or the experience to going to a doctor. So also service designers can kind of work in a broad variety of services, because services are everywhere. So designers have these thinking models that we use while we are developing. We are always looking ahead. We are asking, how could we do this tomorrow? What will change? How can we do it differently? What could be possible next week, next year, in 10 years? How can we go to that direction? Through design thinking and service design, some elements or some ways of thinking are emphasized. For example, empathy. Empathy enables us to understand the perspectives of different user groups, also including the employee's point of view. This empathy is about understanding the human. At least in Finland, we are really good with processes, technical stuff, money, Excels, whatever. But sometimes we forget to look at the human. And it's good to, enable us to understand the human perspective as well. Also optimism. So we believe that there's always at least one better solution to the problem than the current one. So this fun factor comes also to this, being optimistic. We can do this. We can do this together. We can change things. All the services that exist in this world are made by humans. So humans can also change them. Experimentation is built inside the service design processes. It's about letting or daring to go for brand new directions. I will come back to this a little bit later on, but building these possibilities to try out, to test, not just having those ideas, but making them concrete. That's the basic thing. And that's what designers can do. If you are sometimes thinking about if I should hire a designer or what the designers can do. So I think that's probably one of the only industries who can actually change the idea to a concrete version, and not just these very simple things, but complex networks and ecosystems. And collaboration. So services are working in networks. There's a lot of people. There's the whole community with their identities, with their multiple identities. They are not just users, but they are moms, wives, children, whoever. So also a variety of know-how is needed to solve the complex problems. And there's few of these kind of design thinking rules. So what we try to do while designing, we're trying to think outside of the box and to get outside of the box, the first thing is to understand what is my box. So what are my assumptions? And then it's easier to get outside of the box. It's about thinking like this. I fail fast, I fail early, I fail often. It's not about being afraid to fail, but thinking that fail is my path to learn. Of course, you don't have to fail big, but you can build, for example, these experiments in order, if they fail, you will understand if they work or not. In order to learn, you build these testing environments. And also quick and dirty. So while you are developing, everything doesn't have to be so refined and great. It's okay to be kind of in the middle. And you can say this is an experiment. We're trying out. What would you think? Even with technology, it's easy to build things that are not yet there and get feedback and ideas from people. I'm trying to look at the chat if there was an questions. Maybe not. There's some beautiful cars. Yeah, thanks. And you're sharing your experiences. Great. Those are always so nice.
Yeah, sorry, Essi, that if it's confusing you, but I'm like boosting there and asking expectations of their experiences that have they been exceeded somehow. So it's always a delight factor, but there is the opposite as well.
Yeah.
It might be that we are expecting something, but we don't get the level of the expectation. So we might be like a little down after that.
Yeah.
Just to have some discussion as well.
Perfect. And I think these are like really good ways of just collecting data yourself, because your expectations and your experiences are also valuable. And sometimes it's good to put you in the shoes of the customer. We were working with Ruka skiing center earlier. I think it's also many years ago. And there was this case that, tourists from abroad are coming to Ruka. And of course, for them, it's really exotic. It's not clear for them what kind of skiing weather it is, like it is for us who live with snow. It's one of my friends from abroad sometimes said that, how can you know what kind of weather it is when you are just looking like through the window that, oh yeah, today it's not good day to ski. The snow will back into my skis. And he was just like, how can you know by looking? But this knowledge is built to us as we are here in this specific environment. So in Ruka, the company wanted to understand this, that, there's people coming from abroad, and for them, it's not clear how the whole skiing and downhill skiing works, and even the equipment, maybe it's not so clear what they are and how to put them on and all that. And what we did in the first place was that we built this simulation environment, and we invited the company workers and owners to travel to Egypt. And we didn't actually travel there, but we played like we were traveling to Egypt. And through those discussions, as we were packing our things and we were going to the airport and then landing to Egypt and trying to find a taxi and thinking about where to go and what to do and so on, it was so clear that living just and trying to look at, not even going to the shoes of a customer to coming to Ruka, but putting yourself to a similar kind of situation where you are traveling to a totally not known environment. and trying to survive, trying to have those nice experiences there. It was a really good exercise. And then, of course, we translated those experiences that we had through this playing and trying out. We translated them to what it is then to travel to Ruka, and how could we support and help people to get to these environments through the services that Ruka is providing. So yeah, sometimes it's turning these tables around to get this understanding of which kind of situation people actually are when they are traveling or when they're coming to your service. Good, let's move forward. I still have a lot of things and the time is running out. So design thinking principles, and I just leave these ones here. Service design principles, they could be called as well, but we were now talking about the thinking part of how to be like a designer and what service design actually is. So it's about this mindset, and these 6 things are the core of this mindset. These somehow need to be in the table when we are doing service design. Good, let's move to the process of developing. So service design is a way of thinking about development, but it's not just that. So in order it to be concrete, we need some kind of models, ways of working, some kind of storylines, some kind of journeys to get. So when we are traveling from this unknown, from this idea towards some kind of outcome, some kind of service that we are actually providing to a customer, these process models try to show you how this happens. So I think this one I just had to have, because this is like the perfect model of life. I think in any case, usually this happens. It's not just in development and not just in design. Life is a mess and services are a mess. But with design, you can move from that unmessy, fussy, sometimes even scary mess towards some kind of focus, some kind of clarity. So usually when changes happen and when design starts, it looks like in the left end. With design methods, with design processes, it's possible to move towards more that straight line. And this happens only by collaborating and by working together. I want you to know, maybe many of you already know this, but in service design, the most famous process model is double diamond. And maybe just to highlight for you, usually when we talk about developing, changing, we always tend to think that it's about ideating, it's about brainstorming, it's about being creative and a little bit crazy, and yeah, and that's true. But in this model, that happens in the 3rd phase, so develop. Before that, there's the first diamond, which is understanding the current state of the service or the service ecosystem or the possibility. And there you first discover and define. Then you are ready to ideate and test. And after those iterations of ideating, testing, developing, then a solution or service can be delivered. So design is about all of this, not just a single moment of developing and ideating. If you get interested about this is developed by Design Council. There's a link in the slide. And I want to show you very briefly also a new version of this double diamond. So this is the updated version, where this kind of a methods bank and design principles are added, and also the engagement of people when they come together, and the leadership of running these development processes is there. Also, if it's a bigger company, the leadership that they are on board, the people who can make decisions about the services, what is offered and what is not, they need to be inside the groups who are developing. So then they become reality more easily. And yeah, a link here too, if you are interested to know more about the processes. But this is the way, like overall, and I could talk a lot about this, but just wanting to show you like how designers tell what they are doing when they, with people, are moving from this idea towards reality. And finally, service design is also a toolkit, methods, ways of working in order to make this happen. And I highlighted few methods that might be useful for you. First of all, well, how do we know what people want? There's this level of what people say, and that's the tip of the iceberg. There's spoken information. That's easy to get to know. There's quiet information that it's below the surface, the water level. What people do. And we can also know that through observation methods. That's fairly easy to know. And then at the very bottom of this iceberg is latent needs. So what people think and feel. And we need creative methods in order to understand those. I put you here a slide in design about the most commonly used methods. So traditional methods, for example, include feedback forms. You probably use them yourself. Observation methods, for example, doing walkthroughs, testing services, observing what people do while they are using your service. And creative methods might be, for example, those workshops, a different kind of body storming, testing, different kind of, creative methods in order to actually hear what people think and feel. For example, in one workshop we were doing with managers, the creative method was actually talking about managing through drawing a picture of a river. So every manager draw a picture of river, which would present their experience of management. And then when we started to discuss about pictures, if the river is broad or a smaller one, are there rocks or fish? Has it a lot of water or just a little bit of water? What happens? We start to hear much more about what people think and feel, in contrast to doing an interview or doing a feedback form. And the most important thing in development is to combine these knowledges. It's not just about one thing, but when we combine these, we can answer the question why. And that's the important part. Why people do what they do, why they want to buy what they want to buy, why they act as they act. Shortly, why traditional segments do not work with service design. So here is a segment. So we would be making a service for a man who has grown up in England and has children and a lot of money. And this is the traditional way of doing them. But this man can be Charles or Ossie. This way kind of we understand that it's not only about a specific person, and it's not enough to use those segments, but we need actually much more knowledge, and we need to create these different kind of profiles, different kind of understanding of the people who are using our services. And then while we develop this, we can also make decisions. Are we offering our service to all of them or only few of them, and what it means in our customer journey? So these are Rovaniemi tourist profiles from also almost 10 years old, but I think still very relevant. If Päivi, I still have 1 more minute, I want you to show the customer journey map, and then I'm done.
Okay, you noticed what I'm gonna say to you. Yes. That's fine, Essi.
Yes, perfect. So I think this would be a really interesting survey, a method to use in while you are developing your core story. So in service design, it's usually we look at services as customer journey. So it tells us what happens to the customer before the service, where they are coming from, what happens to them, and how do they act during the service, and also after. Usually we know already how it goes for, let's say, for a company owner or for our employee, but we haven't, or maybe we know what happens to the customer, but it's not in a picture, it's not in an easily shared form. And it's really important to understand this, because then we can identify the key elements of service, and we can identify the spots where it would be important to do the development. So here you have also linked to this customer journey canvas that helps you to start doing this. And very shortly, the 3 most important words that service designers talk all the time, so in order you to understand them. So customer journey, palvelupolku in Finnish. So this whole, here's a customer journey of going to a car wash, which has 4 different moments. So the whole customer journey is this 1, 2, 3, and 4. It's the storyline, what happens. The different parts are service moments. So arriving to the gas station, finding the car wash, going inside the car wash, paying the car wash. So those are service moments, and they are like chapters that build the story. And inside every chapter are touch points that can be designed and developed. So we are talking about designing immaterial things, but how can we design the experience is through these touch points. And they are products and environments. So how do we build the environments? Are there people in them? What colors we use? Where people can go? What doors are locked? How do they move? Do we pack them in small spaces, or are they open spaces? How do we do it? It all affects the experience. Also, second touch point, interactions. So how people are supported to interact. Do they speak the languages? Do they have possibility to talk? Are they using digital devices? Are we doing mobile services, or what are we doing? All these affect the experience. And thirdly, process. In which order and how things happen. If we move the paying part of the going to a car wash to you first pay and then you go to the gas station, the whole customer journey changes. So by moving these process phases and rearranging them, the whole service can be transformed to fit your customer needs. And I'm not showing this you can go later on, but I wanted you to start by thinking about this customer journey. So you have your core story. How to have in that core story those moments, those ways of working, those products that help people to experience exactly what you wanted them to experience. So I'm hoping that you would have do this exercise and think about, let's say you want to be the most ecologic hotel in Lapland. So how is that shown in your process, in the phases, how you work, in the times that you used, how the ecological factors are everywhere in the process, how they are in the interactions that you have. May they be between people or between people and mobile devices or some other electronic devices. How this could be in the spaces, environments, and products manifested, so that people, when they come to your hotel, the most ecological hotel in Lapland, they would get this emotion and they would get this experience and they would feel that it's true. Service is never ready. Only people make them happen. Power is in the collaboration. Thank you.
Thank you, Essi. How marvelous. You had such much information there. And on behalf of the visitors who we have here in our webinar, I'm asking that can we share this presentation somehow to them? Okay.
Yes, I was discussing with Natalia that I usually have these slides that I'm not able to go through, and I like to just modify a little bit afterwards. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to share it with Natalia. So then Natalia can share it with all the people who have been here listening to this speech.
Thank you, Essi.
No problem. I'm
okay.
sorry.
Yeah.
Let's move on.
Okay, yes, we have still some more minutes because we have time till 12 o'clock. But Essi, you were, well, almost the last ones, what I was captivating. Telling, acting, experiencing, thinking, and feeling. And now when we think about this COVID-19 and how it has affected the tourism industry, so these are kind of key elements we need to consider, because this has taught not only for us what values we need to consider, but also the experiences for the travelers or for the customers. So their expectations for how we consider their feelings and sensitivity or everything like this is arising. So it's becoming more relevant. Have you got some kind of nice experience yourself over some service? Yes.
Yeah,
I remember it.
One of my favorite kind of things is my hairdresser. She's in Kemi, so I'm traveling 100 kilometers to visit her. Now with COVID-19, it has been difficult, and I'm missing her a lot. but before. My family is living there, so I'm going to Kemi, or was going to Kemi almost every month earlier. And I think with these services which you use many times, it's hard to get that wow effect. In traveling services, it might be easier because it's not your thing. It's not where you live every day. So you look at it in a different way. So it might be this once in a lifetime experience. But in my hairdressers, well, of course, she has to be good. She has to know how to cut hair. That's the first. But what makes it so nice every time that I go is just one question. And every time when I go, usually the first question she asks is, do I want to speak or do I just want to, read a paper or be in my own thoughts or like that? And that makes me feel special every time that I go.
Yeah.
And that's one of my favorite examples. She knows that I'm gonna answer every time that I want to speak, because she's a great person and I have a lot to tell and da 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 da. But she asked this question anyway.
Yeah.
And it makes me feel special, and it also gives me this room to make decisions.
Yeah.
In the service.
She appreciates you
Yeah.
and values your words and your wishes and your
mode.
mode.
I'm tired, and she knows now I'm a mom and all that. So she asked this.
Yeah.
So I think that's like my favorite example, because it's so simple. It's probably she's not even doing it, or she wasn't doing it consciously before I told her that this is the thing. And we were discussing about it, and she said, "No, that's how I do my business. So that's like probably that's my value." And I was like, "Yeah," and that's the great thing. But to bringing this element, this was an interaction element to brought to this service, and let's say that she wants her hairdresser's place to feel like home. So then this kind of discussion of, you are a visitor, welcome to this place, how do you want us to interact? It's nicely built in that. And taking this moment, and there's like a lot of customers during a day for her as well. So looking at you and noticing you, and not just your hair, but you as a person, it's super important. And hopefully maybe in doctors they might get this idea someday also. Well, some doctors have, but also other experiences are there. But that's my favorite example.
Yeah, that's you are talking about hospitable and hospitality now, and that's very common in tourism business, because there are visitors and hosts. And when we have this hospitable way to approach and listen, why God created us 2 ears and 1 mouth? That could be also thought. Yeah. Hey, thank you, Essi. And there are some comments now coming from.
I can try to read and do the chat. So yeah.
It's a pity that time went so quickly. Yeah, we agree. Would you have ideas how to explain?
Maybe Essi could reply by chatting.
Yes, I agree, Natalia.
Speech.
Yes.
Thank you, Essi.
Thank you, Essi, once again. And we will jump smoothly to Antti. Antti, are you here?
Yes, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, perfectly.
Great. I have this noise cancellation headphones. I must apologize that we have a renovation at our home. But it shouldn't be like any noise, but just in case I have these, and I'm actually in the toilet, but
just giving a speech.
Yeah, I think we can pull this through. I just take my pencil. Okay, and I will share my presentation, and you will get this later. So don't worry, there's a lot of links to videos. I won't be showing those in this quite short time frame, but you can take a look at those later. They should be working on the PDF, but if they are not working, please do let me know, and I will send a new version of that. But welcome. Very nice to speak to you today. I'm Antti Lähtevänoja, and I work as a head of education at Zoan. And Zoan is currently one of the leading VR studios in Europe. And on top of the head of education role, which means that I'm designing our virtual experiences from the pedagogical point of view, I also do international sales and national sales as well to every field we are selling to, which is everything. I always tell to our clients or say to our clients that anything can be done, but the budget and time frame are usually the limiting factors here. This presentation, I would like to teach you something. My background is on educational sciences. I'm a class teacher and a special education teacher as my profession, and I am doing my PhD about learning in virtual reality and these kind of virtual environments. So that's my background. But like Petri Parvinen, the first sales professor in Finland, said, if you don't know who to hire as a salesperson, hire a teacher. And that saying is one of my favorites, because that means that, or that conveys that teachers are usually good salespersons because they know how to explain things and how to make the client to understand. And that's something I want you to remember from this presentation, that when you are like having a speech about your product or service or something like that, try to make the client or potential client to understand what's the thing you want them to remember from your service or product. Because remembering, as we know, is very crucial on learning. And what also affects learning is the emotions. And on this presentation, I will a little bit focus on the emotional side of these virtual environments, how we should design them in order to make the user or potential client really feel that they are in the virtual environment, and how we can, for example, market things to them or sell things to them in these virtual environments. And in addition, I'm from Savo. As you know, Savo people are good with speaking, so I can speak from one slide for 45 minutes about just one slide. So I really hope that you are using the chat to ask if there's anything you need to or you want to know, or you need me to give like a proper description or like more explanation on that. I promise I try to be like not using those slang words or technical words. This is not a technical presentation, but I will try to explain everything. But if something leaves you like wondering what's that there, please do ask. Let's start this presentation by thinking about this question. You don't need to write this on the chat. This is more like a silent question. I want you to think about one thing you would like the client or potential client or customer to remember about your product or service. It can be anything, but it should be on the core of your offerings, whether it's a physical product or service or something. I was reading the chat from the great presentation by the previous speaker, Essi, and there was a notion about this hotel birthday surprise. So that kind of things I want you to think about throughout this presentation. And at the end of the presentation, we will go through them if you want to share something and discuss how we can utilize or leverage these virtual solutions to make the client to remember, make the client to feel or understand. Okay, enough introduction. Let's go to the presentation. First of all, just a very quick presentation about our company. So we are currently about 100 people working at Zoan all over the world. Our headquarters are in Helsinki. We have a big office in Belo Horizonte in Brazil as well, where our CEO there in the middle, man in the middle there with the leather jacket, Mika, actually established the company back in 2010. And all the way from 2010, we have been working with 3D technology, first starting from real estate. So we were like modeling real estate buildings and apartments to make people to be able to visit on apartments which are not built yet in real life. And approximately 2015, 2015, when the first customer grade VR headsets came to market, we transferred to this VR. I mean, VR glasses and VR stuff. And now during COVID-19, we have been seeing the paradigm to shift a little bit, because the fact is that not all people, or like the majority of people, doesn't have VR headsets at home, nor it's possible to do public showcases of VR nowadays because of the situation. So the virtual environments have been transferred mainly to be browser-based. That means that in order to experience these virtual environments, the only thing you need is a internet browser, whether it's a computer browser or mobile phone browser. So there won't be a need to have those VR headsets. So this presentation will also cover some immersive, and by immersive I mean VR glasses environments, but mostly browser-based experience we have done, because nowadays that's the thing, so to say. And we have been doing a lot of different projects to the traveling sector as well. So I would like to explain them to you as well. Some of our clients previously, the technology giants are there, but also many cities from Finland, where we have done some traveling experiences, some museums, universities, and B2B companies. But yeah, I will first go through some terms. I promise there will be only one difficult term for you to grasp, but after that, it's mainly like taking the client or potential client point of view to these experiences. And the term I would like you to remember is a metaverse. Sorry about this quite academical description of the term. It's a collective virtual shared space. And it's a convergence of, first, virtual enhanced physical reality, and second, physically persistent virtual space. So in normal words and in normal English, it means that there's another universe or another world on top of our physical world, and that world is a virtual one. And let's take a concrete example of that. In the middle of the screen, you see the cathedral from Helsinki, the capital of Finland. There's a Stockmann warehouse and some furniture designed by Alvar Aalto. So those are all 3D models, computer-generated 3D models. So they are virtual worlds. And these virtual worlds and 3D models can be experienced with various technologies. They can be experienced with VR, immersive VR. You can take VR glasses and you can go inside the virtual world and, you know, walk there and interact with the environment, do different things. For example, take a 3D model and move it from point A to point B, or open a door, or start a simulation where you will see all the 8 seasons of Lapland, for example. You will see them in front of you, just like in a time-lapse form. And we go to VR when we really want to be in another world entirely. And in VR, I will go to this topic more deeply in the next slides, but it's very important to have good audio design, because the ambience, the sound ambience, is very crucial to good VR experience. Then we have web. This is the browser-based thing I mentioned earlier. So the same virtual worlds and 3D models can be experienced through a normal internet browser. But there you would, when in VR, you would use your controllers, like those small remote controller looking like devices on your hand, to move and interact with the environment. With web browser, you would use the normal trackpad of your laptop or mouse or a keyboard, or if mobile phone, a touch screen to move and interact with the environment. But essentially, we can use the same virtual worlds and 3D environments in web as well. Then there's AR, and AR is augmented reality. And that means that we are in a physical world. And we use, for example, our mobile phone to see something virtual. So if we look the real world through our mobile phone, the mobile phone screen would add something virtual to this world. And sorry, this image is a bit small, but this shows what has been there in the Senate Square of Helsinki back in 1800s. The Ulrika Eleonora Church. It was near the current cathedral there. So, for example, a traveling group can go to Senate Square in 2021 and take out their mobile phones and look the environment through their mobile phones, and they would see how the environment looked like 200 years ago. That's the use case for AR. And again, in AR, we can use the same 3D models and virtual world. Then we can also produce marketing material. And by marketing material, I mean still images to be shared in social media, such as Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Snapchat, still images and videos. And these are even more realistic than the real world sometimes. I mean that we can do with virtual worlds and 3D, we can do, for example, camera movements that are not possible in real life. So these look quite fascinating, and I will show more of these in the next slides. Then we are able to do virtual live events in these virtual worlds and virtual environments. Some examples are, we had I think quite exactly 1 year ago, we had a May Day Eve concert with JVG, the most famous rock duo in Finland, in virtual Helsinki. So the boys from JVG, the band, came to our studio, and we filmed them using a green screen, and then we transferred them to virtual Helsinki, to the 3D model of virtual Helsinki, and then streamed the concert to YouTube, where 1.4 million watched the concert in total. So those are just some of examples, and what I want you to remember from this slide is that if we are doing something virtual, whether it's a 3D model or a virtual environment or a virtual world, I mean, it can be a city, it can be one piece of furniture. We are able to view the same content using different technologies. So you don't need to think that, okay, I would like to do a VR environment for my clients to experience. You should think, okay, VR is one possible technology to be used. Can I like make a more interesting web shop, for example? We have had previous projects where we do like an enhanced web shop for our clients. That means that, okay, a normal web shop is when you go to the website and you browse the products, and then you add them to the shopping cart, and then you pay. But in our virtual web shops, you would go inside an environment which is inspired by the services and products. You can move freely there, and you can click the different products and view them from very different perspectives and experience them before buying. And one thing I also want you to remember is that the era of digitalization is over. Like, digitalization is a very old term, and it just means that we are transferring our traditional methods to digital ones. Of course, every company has nowadays like a website, and good-looking website. But in order to really step up the game, we need to do the virtualization leap. And that means that the companies and brands need to have some kind of virtual presence. And by that, I mean that we are creating like a branded metaverses for companies to be used in their marketing. That's the way you can step up your game in the marketing work. And we have had very good examples of that. That way we can really differentiate the brand from other brands. And thanks for those questions. Yes, I have some examples of AR content later on the presentation from Paula Vesala, actually, the artist. We did something for her concert 2 years ago, pre-COVID times. So let's go through that. But another question for you: what was the last time you were truly amazed, whether it was service or product? Because the thing that really sparked me the interest of VR was that when I was doing my like a basic studies of educational sciences, we had some early VR headsets in our university, and I tested them and I played with them, and my teachers were like, Antti, you played with them so much that you should educate your student friends and other teachers to use them. And so I did, and I saw the amazing responses of them when they were in the virtual world. Like first time experiencing an immersive VR world, they were like, wow, is this possible? In 2021, if you can make a client to experience something like that, they will really remember that, because we have lots of digital content every day. We consume a lot of digital content, whether it's from linear TV or YouTube or Instagram, TikTok, but we need to focus on those things which really makes us to remember things. And virtual technology is one way to accomplish that. Then some three very things which are on the core of designing virtual environments that the client would really remember. The first being the wow effect. When a client comes to us and says that, yeah, we would like to do something virtual, we usually start from the question that why you want to do something in VR. What's the main target of that experience? What you would like to showcase to your clients? And usually we need to produce some kind of wow effect. I was telling the virtualization speech earlier, and the wow effect is in core of that. When a client writes your web page and sees your web page and it's something truly different, they're like, wow, this brand is something else. And that wow effect can create like brand engagement and make the people to be interested on your products and services. And then another thing is motivation and engagement. I have studied learning in VR, and again, this needs to be like studied more, and I cannot say that these are final results or anything, but we have been investigating what kind of learning happens in VR. And one of our initial results is that you should go to VR to have like more deeper learning. And by deeper learning, I mean that it's not only reading a theory of the things or trying to understand something text-based. In VR, you should go to really experience things and try different things and do things hands-on in a practical way. You shouldn't go to VR to read like long texts or stuff like that. And another thing we have been figuring out is that when we compare, for example, two different VR environments, the first one is desktop-based, and by desktop-based I mean that it's computer-based. So I would use my mouse and my keyboard to move in the environment. That's the desktop version VR. The second version is immersive VR. So you are with VR glasses inside the environment. And I have run some literature reviews on the previous studies made on the comparison based on that. So we compare like it can be browser-based, or it can be desktop-based VR and immersive VR. And one of the results seems to be that direct learning outcomes. And by direct learning outcomes, I mean better remembering, better understanding of things, or better enhanced skills. There's not statistically significant difference between the desktop VR and immersive VR glasses VR, but in indirect learning outcomes. And by indirect learning outcomes, I mean motivation and engagement. Those are higher in immersive VR. So that can be concluded that motivation and engagement also contributes to learning in a more like a longer way. So if you want your clients or students to be motivated and engagement, immersive VR is a good way to do that. Then I mentioned about customer learning earlier, and when I sell, I teach, and I really want my clients to understand what we are doing, what I'm doing, and how our thing, whether it's a product or service, would help them in their business. And you should think the same. And you should think if technologies can be used as a tool to make the customer learning to happen. For example, if you are running or if your product is very complex to understand, like if it's like a industrial device or something, not related to traveling industry, but if it's a very complex machine, you should maybe create a virtual web page where people can experience the product, test different things with that, and simulate different scenarios, and maybe even deconstruct the product to really understand how it's created and stuff like that. And you can include info boxes about what's happening here and what this part will do. And when the client understands what your product is and how it's used, they will be more engaged to that potentially. Then I mentioned about creating virtual experiences, which really gives you the feeling that you are there. And as we know, if you have experienced something which gave you either a good feeling or bad feeling, you would remember that. So we should aim to make our clients or potential clients to feel something inside these virtual environments, whether it's the wow effect or it's a feeling of great success that, yeah, I can do anything here and this is beautiful, or that those visuals are so amazing. I have never seen anything like that. We should aim for that. And how that feeling is created? Well, I promise that I will go more deep on the design of virtual environments, and I will do that here. Imagine that you are with VR glasses, you are immersed in a virtual environment. There's some things we should use as a base when we design those environments. One is that you should feel that you are somewhere, that you are not just in an empty void and you will see like one 3D object of a tree, for example. that's not a very interesting environment, right? So it should be like something you can grasp, and potentially you can even move there to see different places. Audio design is a crucial part. I mentioned earlier about the sound ambience. Imagine that we are in a VR environment, which is a forest. There's beautiful green colors and blue sky, and we can even hear like a bird singing and a little bit humming of the wind. That really makes us relaxed and feeling good. Visuals need to be designed so that they are good looking, and there's not like, or they don't need to be always hyper realistic, that they are just like in the real life, that they are very hyper realistic. They can be cartoonish, like a very cartoon like, but they need to be coherent so that people understand what's the graphical design of these environments. Then we need to have gamification, or we can have gamification and interaction there to really enhance the experience. Gamification means that there's something to do for a user. For example, you can find all the Easter eggs, or you can try finding all the beautiful travel destinations of that destination, like, or not traveling destinations, but like viewpoints, stuff like that. That we motivate the user to really move inside the virtual environment and do stuff there, and we somehow award the user by doing that. That makes them more engaged. Of course, interaction is one crucial thing in virtual environments. It's not very nice just to be in the environment and not able to do anything, not able to move, not able to touch things and interact with them. So we should have that there. Keeping this in mind, let's go through the client cases. This I used already in the metaverse example. So Virtual Helsinki has been one of our flagship products or projects from the previous years. We started doing that back in 2016, I guess, and it's essentially a digital twin of a real city of Helsinki. So we have a real city of Helsinki, and then we have a virtual version of that Helsinki. And we can use the virtual Helsinki, like you remember from the metaverse slide. We can go with VR glasses to experience the Senate Square and Cathedral. We can travel back in time to see how it looked like 200 years ago. We have had live concerts there, such as the JBG concert. We have had live events, such as VWBE, horrible, very, very difficult name for an event, but we had that there as well. And we have used it, and Helsinki is using that as a traveling platform. I won't go to these virtual video trailers and articles here, but you can check them later to see how it has been used and how it was done. Then this is interesting. Together with Business Finland, we made this work-life simulator, and the Business Finland had an expo in India, in Bangalore, which is like the Silicon Valley of India. And we wanted to showcase how it's like to work in Finland to the people over there, because Business Finland wanted Indian programmers to come to work in Finland. So we wanted to really make an experience where they can see how it's like to be in Finland and work in Finland. We created this virtual experience, which was experienced through VR classes. So what we did, I traveled to India, and we set up an office chair to the expo booth there in India. And then we had the programmers coming to our booth, and I told them to sit down. And then I put VR glasses to them and started the experience. The experience would start from this view here. So you are in Finland, beautiful forest around you, and a nice lake in front of you. And there's an office table and a computer. And you are sitting in real life and you are sitting in VR. And you are seeing that, okay, Skype call is coming and I can take it from in the middle of forest. And then there's a clock ticking and it says it's 5:30. And in Finland, that means that that's the end of workday, because we wanted to show that here we have shorter work days. Then the whole environment will change, or not the place itself, but the mood of the environment will change, and it will be afternoon. You would have your cup of coffee and newspaper in front of you to really visualize that we are able to relax in Finland, and the environment would again change, and there would be like a nice sunset and autumn colors of Finland. And it's like 1.5 minute experience, and they really like that. And I think that's a good example on how we can do destination marketing with VR. Yeah, sorry, we have a limited time, so I will go quite briefly about these cases, but please do check these video trailers and links after my presentation to really grasp the idea of this project. For the National Museum of Finland, we created this living painting. So we had museum visitors coming and experience the real painting from R.V. Ekman. And we had a VR booth in front of that real painting. And when you take those VR glasses, you can jump into the painting, and the characters of the painting will speak to you and explain things about the Alexander's speech. And that was quite interesting travel experience. So comparing to the Business Finland experience, that was like destination marketing. We want people to come to our destination. But this is more like, I don't know the proper traveling industry term, but it's like happening in the destination. I think it's on destination experience. So we have the physical traveling destination, and we enhance the experience there. And this is an example of that. Then this is the AR case I was telling you about earlier. For Paolo Vesala had a concert in Hartwall Arena 2 years ago, I think, before COVID times, and she wanted to do something different. We asked the visitors of that concert to download an application to their mobile phones, and when they came to the concert venue and the concert started, there was like a huge text on those screens on stage that they go to your mobile phone and point to the stage. And when the people took their mobile phones and pointed that to the stage, they could see some beautiful graphics on top of the stage, like those hovering like fish, and some other nice effects, and they were synced with that music, and everyone who pointed their mobile phone to the stage would see the same effect at the same time. So that way we enhanced the physical concert with the virtual component, which was the AR component. And I know some people will think that you should concentrate on the music and the artist when you are in the virtual physical concert. You shouldn't look the concert through your mobile phone. I understand that, but it opens up new possibilities, and maybe we need to think in a new way about how we understand physical concerts. For example, Apple is designing AR glasses. So you would have like normal looking glasses, and they would have this AR layer. So maybe in the future, in some years, you can go to a concert and really enhance your experience by just using your normal looking like glasses. Then for Rovaniemi, we made this travel destination marketing environment as well, and they used this in a traveling expo, I think, at least. This was before COVID as well, and we also displayed this at Slush. Yeah, it was the travel fair 2019 or 20. Sorry, I can't remember anymore. But we designed again a quite short virtual experience where people could travel to the Santa Claus village, and the experience starts so that you will get a present from the Santa, and then you are actually the present. So you are actually inside the present box, and when the present box opens, you are under the beautiful sky of Lapland. You will see the northern lights, and things will start to happen, and you would transfer to the third location, which is beautiful lake in Lapland, and you would see the Santa Claus with his reindeers going to give the gifts to the children of the world, and that has been a nice experience as well. And we have used the same experience in the same kind of experience in the Finnair holiday flights as well later on this presentation, which is here. So for with Finnair, we did these virtual Christmas flights in 2020, so last Christmas, and we created together with Finnair and Rovaniemi a browser-based experience where people could buy a flight ticket just like you would do in real life. You would reserve yourself a ticket, and you would get a date when your flight is due. And when you go to that flight, you are in a virtual cabin of Finnair airplane, and it's a normal procedure of flight and some entertainment there. And then you would arrive to your destination, which is Rovaniemi, and you will be taken to different locations there. And it was quite a nice experience, and we were able to gather 90,000 euros for UNICEF's work against COVID-19 and consequences all over the world. So it was a quite nice success, and the client was very happy, and we were very happy as well. So that's an example we can leverage different technologies, the same environments. Then this is the JVG concert, Ikuinen Vappu, which is like an eternal May Day. This was one of our biggest successes last year regarding virtual concerts. So the city of Helsinki wanted to prevent people to go out on May Day Eve, because that's the usual day everyone go to have a picnic, and we wanted to prevent that and have provide them something to enjoy when they are staying at their homes. So we did this virtual concert. It was streamed live on the May Day Eve, and 700,000 watched it on live, either through YouTube or website, and the total audience was 1.4 million if we calculate the viewers of the recording of that concert, and also the brief showcase in Finnish news that day. It gave the city of Helsinki and other sponsors really nice advertising value and media potential reach. Those are quite astonishing numbers. And we had articles in the Guardian, Forbes, Mashable, and Business Insider about the concert, which also helped on the reach. And please do check the after movie and the articles after the presentation to really understand what we did. And thanks for the feedback. The concert was great, and the stress was great as well. I mean, just before the concert, because the production time was like 5 weeks, and I can say that we were very happy how it turned out. Of course, we had the best professionals to make that, but the time frame was so short. Then for Kyro Distillery, we made this virtual tour. There's also a link there, but for them, because they have a beautiful distillery in Iso-Kyro, and because of the situation, people are not able to visit there so often. So we made this virtual tour that people are able to visit the distillery even in these times, and watch different videos about the history of Kyro, watch drink recipes, and actually book a visit to the physical distillery when it's possible. This has been very nice, and I like the feeling. In previous slides, I talked about the mood and ambience of those environments, and here I think the black and white environment really worked out, and this was done using 360 videos. This is not like computer generated graphics and 3D models. That's what we usually do, but we are able also to do this kind of 360 video and image based experience as well. So check that out, and hopefully you will like that. And comparing to Amosrex Museum in Helsinki, this is an example of a virtual tour which is generated using 3D models. So we did a virtual tour to Amosrex to experience some of the art which is on the exhibitions held there, and we include some animations, some videos, and some beautiful paintings there. So that's also, you are able to visit that as well using this link. So check that out. And the Amosrex and the Kyro Distillery both are browser-based environments, so you can grasp an experience of that using those. And great that you are having a workshop with a 360-degree camera. That's a very nice device, and you are able to do very nice experience using that. Then virtual events. We had this WDPE event in an illusion city, what we created based on virtual Helsinki and virtual Tallinn. So we made a virtual environment where people could join using their mobile or desktop browser, and they were able to move there and use the chat and watch the keynotes. The keynotes were made using the green screen technology, and it was very nice virtual event. And people are talking what happens to the events post-COVID times, so to say. And my thinking of that is that yes, there will be physical events after the COVID times for sure, but I think there would also be hybrid events. And hybrid event means that you have a physical presence in virtual event, in normal events for sure, but there would be a virtual layer on top of that. So part of the audience is traveling to the event, but we need also think about a bigger virtual crowd who will also take place to the event, maybe using their browser and watch the keynotes. And maybe those people are not able to visit physically there on the event. And yeah, then this is a nice example of using the 3D technology. We created this short movie about the Battle of Smeksund, which was the largest naval battle ever in the Baltic Sea. And we created the whole movie using a game engine. And please do check the video trailer here and go and experience the whole movie in Merikeskus Vellamo in Kotka, Finland. So they have like a very nice curved display where you can see the movie happening in the virtual world. And the advantage of using virtual technologies on these productions is that if you would go in real life to film these kind of movies, you would need to go to the Baltic Sea in real life and rent all those big ships and record them. But using our technology and our virtual models, you can create everything in game engine. So you can create as many ships as you would like, and you can create the weather conditions just as you would like to have, and film again some of the escapes. So please do check that out. And for example, Disney is using the same technology in Lion King, the new version of Lion King, and Star Wars Mandalorian series. So that's really coming. And I know my time is running out, but again, here's the same slide. Think of one thing you would like the client to remember about your product or service, and think if you could use these kind of technologies I displayed here to showcase your products. Thank you. That was my presentation.
Thank you, Antti. How inspiring! You had a lot of contents there, as well as Essi as well. There were nice comments when you were asking us to share a memory of some AR or VR or some other immersive technology, and these all are now saved in this presentation, or in this how do you say tallennus? Now I'm losing a word. Well, we are anyway sending this back, and we can come back to those as well and think about those. I think that our support program companies are all the time thinking that how customers could find them and remember them. And I think that the key element in your presentation was that with immersive technologies, we can kind of invite customers to join and come or travel to the destination itself. But it also means that the immersive technologies could be utilized in destination as well when they are here, and afterwards, when in post-travel, when they are left back home. So it's kind of a journey altogether, not only like inviting, but also saying bye-bye and on site there when they are visiting our destinations. Okay. So thank you, Antti. And thank you. It was nice to get to know you, and we will share this presentation to all the ones who have been attending and so on. And now it's up to Natalia.
Yes, thank you, Päivi. So we, as mentioned, running the time, but it was very interesting presentation. Thank you, Antti. Thank you, Essi. You are still here. I can see you. We will not steal your time, the audience, but there is a short question in the polls. So maybe you just quickly could answer this question. Was the webinar content useful for you? And so thank you, all of you, for coming, for joining us today webinar. And thanks, Päivi, for facilitating the webinar and keeping us warm during the speeches. Yes, and the recording will be sent to you right after the webinar end, and the presentations, the slides, will be sent later on during this week. If you have any more questions, you can write us in the chat box or contact us by email. Yes, thank you, Anthony. Thanks to all of you, and have a nice day, and hopefully to see you at our next webinar.
Yes, thanks on behalf of me as well. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Antti. Bye.